And at 10, Withered Bonnie, the original Withered animatronic. Withered Bonnie hails from FNAF 2, where the original 5 were broken down and dismantled. Withered Bonnie is the original nightmare animatronic, missing a face and only having 2 red dots for eyes. This would give any of us nightmares when we first saw it enter our office. Withered Bonnie has multiple rows of teeth, which is confusing to me because why would an animatronic that's meant to be an entertainer at a children's pizzeria need more than 1 row of teeth and have those teeth be hella sharp? Withered Bonnie is pretty spooky, but considering how it's the first one and things only get worse from here, I can't really put it anywhere higher, especially when one of the scarier ones is from FNAF World. And at 9, Shadow Bonnie. But that editor put the name though. I don't want to spell it out. Shadow Bonnie also made an appearance in FNAF 2, but is more so a main character in FNAF 3, where the character makes an ultimate appearance as a glitched out game character, well, minigame character, and a statue you need to click on to enable the glitched minigame. It's weird. Shadow Bonnie also made an appearance in the FNAF AR game. This character has been all over. RWQFSFASXC is just a pitch black version of Bonnie with glowing eyes and teeth. It's pretty weird when you think about it, and honestly, it could just be the red jump scare from FNAF VR. That could just be Shadow Bonnie. No matter, being just a void of pitch black energy can make any animatronic scary, and honestly, we don't know how Shadow came into being. Yes, I meant to say that, so. There are some theories that it was someone who got spring locked in the suit before Afton, or that someone else got killed, but we don't know for sure, and that makes it even scarier. And at 8, Glitch Trap. Glitch Trap is the code version of Bonnie from the VR game FNAF Help Wanted, where he serves as a main antagonist of the game and a reincarnation of William Afton after his soul latched onto a circuit board containing usable code. He manifests in the game and is somehow able to control certain aspects. He is somehow able to interact with the endings of the game, being the one to stuff us into the Freddy suit. The thing is, like, he wasn't supposed to be in the game, so why does he have such an important role at the end of the game? Then he starts dancing once he's able to kill us and stuff us once again. Glitch Trap is reminiscent of the first suit that William used to kill. The stitch marks on his joints indicate such, and that's really off-putting. Knowing that this is the first instance of William killing someone just sets me on edge. It's scary in another kind of way, the way that sticks with you long after you've closed the game, especially when we see him lure us into a dark room from behind a curtain. Okay? Not trying to like say anything that will get me demonetized, but you know. And at 7, White Rabbit. The White Rabbit is a version of Bonnie first appearing in FNAF World, and while this game is probably the least respected and most hated in the series, my god is this thing terrifying. This is like a miniature version of Bonnie. Not bad, right? Well, the thing is, it's completely white and has sunken black eyes with no pupils. It's kinda like me, except I'm pastier. Yeah, that makes this thing look freaking terrifying, okay? I don't care that you're going to the comments right now to complain that this character is here. It happens every time. Okay, there's at least always 5 people that say, oh, this isn't scary as hell, why are they on this list? Scary is subjective, okay? Anyway, this little white rabbit is one of the scariest versions of Bonnie in the series. It's only higher on the list because of the game, and if it was something like FNAF 4 or another main series title, it would have been scarier, especially like putting it in a situation like that, but nevertheless, it deserves the spotlight. This thing was like 7 feet tall, and coming for me, I'd shit myself. And at 6, Jacko Bonnie. Jacko Bonnie is one damn rascally rabbit. The animatronic is like your typical Bonnie, however, it's missing flesh in all the right places. I still don't know if I should be calling it flesh. It's like not real flesh, but it's their version of flesh. To him it's flesh, but does that make it okay to call it flesh? Whatever, I'm just gonna call it flesh. He glows orange from the inside and he glows hard, like harder than the chorus of All-Star. This animatronic is scary and one of the most intimidating animatronics in the entire series. The only reason it's not higher is because it's not very present in the series. It makes an appearance in FNAF 4's Halloween update and in FNAF VR in the Helpy sections of the Pirates Cove ride and Curse of Dreadbear, where they don't really seem all that intimidating, but that's because I'm really in control of the outcome, and if I get jump scared, it's my fault, not like some weird game mechanic that I couldn't control, like the doors that don't work how they should. Yep, mentioning it again. I hate those doors, man. Halfway through at number 5, Easter Bonnie. Easter Bonnie, aside from being the best pun the series has ever released, is probably the kind of bunny your parents would make you sit with at the mall, but then you'd be crying the whole time. Like Matt from In the Flesh, from the latest in what should have been the final Fazbear Frights book, Bunny Call, which is totally meant to be a fanfic about MatPat, but that's aside the point. Is this his way of asking MatPat if he wants to work on another FNAF VR game? Like, are these Scott's deepest fantasies? Well, no matter, this bunny is creepy. This version of Bonnie hails from the FNAF AR Special Delivery, and it's basically a white Bonnie with glowing blue eyes, a glowing red mouth, yellow bow tie, and an egg pattern on his stomach. I can't really explain why I find this so unsettling, perhaps because I constantly get chocolate bunnies around Easter time and I don't want to think about eating an animatronic that's trying to kill me, but there's also a chocolate version of Bonnie, from what I can tell, but that one's meant to be eaten, so it doesn't scare me. I don't know, okay? It's weird. It's off-putting. I don't like it. And at 4, Blacklight Bonnie. I have a blacklight, and the reason I have it is because I had it for a Halloween party, because black lights seem to make everything scarier. I don't know how, but they do. Now, having a whole animatronic surrounding this concept is going to be terrifying, especially when the main color is pink, such a scary color. The blacklight animatronics were first just released as toys in promotion for Help Wanted, but they actually do make an appearance. The only reason we know they exist, however, is because of the toys. The blacklights made their debut in the animatronic repair hard mode, which is basically just the same thing but with hardly any light, so we can't actually see the animatronics, but apparently they are truly the blacklights. But either way, bright, eccentrically colored animatronics will scare anyone who lives in the dark and is scared of adding color to their wardrobe, like my sister. Only she will understand that joke, and she doesn't watch these videos because she doesn't support her brother, so that's probably wasted. It's a long story. It's not really, but I just don't want to tell it. Getting close to the end, and at number 3, Nightmare Bonnie. Nightmare Bonnie is absolutely freaking terrifying, okay? Have you seen those goddamn teeth? I don't know what little kid was able to imagine this kind of thing while in a coma, if it was the sound discs that were making him see it in a coma or what, but like, holy living crap, this is some messed up garbage. I've never really been scared of Bonnie, okay? Some of these are unsettling, but nothing has really been holy crap, I'm not gonna sleep. But Nightmare Bonnie is literally going to give me plenty of nightmares. Well, I guess the name checks out then. I would have included Twisted Bonnie on this list, but there's not much official art of the character, and I don't want to screw over the editor, who may be me having to do this, and I don't want to make him use a load of fan art because, you know, we never use fan art. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. Technically, fan art's illegal because you're using the IP that you don't own, but that's aside the point. Nightmare Bonnie has been torn to pieces like every man after seeing Chris Evans. Like, how are we supposed to measure up? Yes, pun 100% intended. Nightmare Bonnie is one of the real living embodiments of fear, and these next two aren't gonna make it any easier for my sanity, which is already depleting because the goddamn series. Penultimately, and at number 2, Toxic Springtrap. I didn't include normal Springtrap on this list because officially, thanks to the man in room 1280 from Bunny Call, it is confirmed that William Afton was always alive, thanks to a kid who possessed his body who kept him from dying because he wanted William to suffer more. Everyone kept saying, so you think William was able to stay alive for 30 years behind a wall after getting spring-locked? And every time I said that it wasn't an animatronic, because it's a human who was alive controlling the suit. And I kept saying that it's not the most outlandish thing in the series, and look, I was right. Confirmed. Springtrap is not an animatronic, okay? I needed to gloat. However, Toxic Springtrap from FNAF AR Special Delivery is, because he is a variation on the character instead of being the real Springtrap. Now, I could be wrong here, I haven't played Special Delivery and I don't know the lore behind this, but it appears as if Toxic Springtrap is a separate entity because he does act more aggressively, whereas Flaming Springtrap acts the exact same and would have a canon explanation thanks to the FNAF 6 ending, if he did catch fire at least. Toxic Springtrap has wart-like bubbles all over his skin that appear to be some form of poison that bubbles or something like that. I don't know, it's really gross and nasty and puts me on edge. He's purple, he's like sludge, it's not okay. Finally, in at number 1, System Error Bonnie. System Error Bonnie, or System Error Toy Bonnie, depending on what you want to call it, is one of the creepiest goddamn animatronics in these damn games. Okay? This animatronic is completely red and appears to be glitching, similarly to how Glitch Trap glitches in FNAF VR before you defeat him. This thing is probably the creepiest form of Toy Bonnie ever, and it doesn't help that it looks so menacing. The System Error version of Bonnie is more aggressive, it's angrier, at least it seems that way. I can't explain how this is so creepy, okay? I just saw it and immediately knew it had to be number 1. I didn't even know about it until this list. Maybe I should play FNAF AR on the channel. I don't know, I need room for that though. My apartment's a mess, so I can't do it there. And at 10, Funtime Bonnie. The Funtime animatronics were introduced in Sister Location, the 5th game in the series. However, Bonnie was actively missing from that lineup, aside from a couple small hand puppet versions that are unsettling on their own. This left a rabbit-shaped hole in our hearts, so Funtime Bonnie was created. Well, was created by fans. We don't think that there is a Funtime Bonnie that actually exists in the lore, like how the Chica version was rented out. You know what I'm talking about. If you've watched other lists about fan versions, you'll know that the Funtimes creep me out. The ability for them to move their faces is wrong, and it's really a selling point behind why they're scary. And at 9, Nightmare Withered Bonnie. Imagine Withered Bonnie but on an illicit substance and you have Nightmare Withered Bonnie. Withered Bonnie is already scary enough with the beating red eyes and the rundown visuals. Even if it's just Nightmare Bonnie with Withered Bonnie's face, it's already even more terrifying. And we all know how Scott feels about normal Bonnie. Add in the Nightmare version and he's already crapping himself, and then add in the Withered version, and then this is the reason he retired. There, I said it. Not because of any controversy or him being tired and wanting to make other games, but because of Nightmare Withered Bonnie. It's an ungodly creation that must be stopped. But actually, it's really cool. Good job to people who made versions of Nightmare Withered Bonnie. I'm not dissing you, it's fine. They're good. And at 8, Nightmare Glamrock Bonnie. Yet another set of animatronics without any Bonnie representation. The Security Breach Glamrock animatronics, from what we've seen in any trailer so far, don't have a Glamrock Bonnie. He only really appears as the mascot of bowling. However, fans have yet again made Glamrock versions of Bonnie, but those weren't scary. So in classic FNAF fashion, if you want something to be scarier than it is, just throw Nightmare in front of it. And then boom, you have an unholy abomination that will eat your soul and devour your balls. I don't know where that last part came from. Nevertheless, Nightmare Glamrock Bonnie looks exactly how you'd expect a Nightmare version of a Glamrock Bonnie to look, with shoulder pads. Okay? That's probably the scariest part, if I'm being honest. And at 7, Havoc Bonnie. Here we go, the good old classic Dormitibus. Known as probably the most disturbing FNAF fan game, Dormitibus takes place before FNAF 4 and 5 even came out, so before the official after name reveal as well as the Nightmare animatronics. But this is honestly worse than the Nightmare animatronics in my opinion. The thing is, Havoc Bonnie wasn't even in the original Dormitibus. It's a fan creation based on a fan creation, making it one of the most meta versions of Bonnie on this list. Although there is another that's even more meta, but we'll get to that. And the fact that the Dormitibus based version of Bonnie is only number 7 should speak volumes about what's coming up. And no, it's not at number 7 because it wasn't in the original game. The game is hella messed up. I suggest looking it up if you're over the age of 16. I mean, like, I'm gonna put that disclaimer because, like, kids should really not be looking at this kind of thing. It's messed up. Honestly, like, that's not even a joke. And at 6, FNAF Plus Bonnie. FNAF Plus is an in-development fan game funded by the Fazbear Fanverse Initiative. And as I described in the video about the Fanverse timeline, click up in the top right corner for that video, this is probably the deviation point from the main timeline, with other events beforehand remaining largely similar, if not identical. However, this version of not only Bonnie, but the other 2 animatronics as well, are just plain creepy. Bro, like if Funko Pops could actually kill you and wanted to. Not sponsored, but Funko, hit me up. The structure of the head is honestly best described as a Funko Pop vinyl figure, with a wide jaw that would slay any mother who walked in with their kids for their birthday party. But it's so creepy and off-putting. Like, they certainly nailed the creepier and darker theme that these games are going for, because these remakes set me on edge, and it hasn't even come out yet. They put me on edge like I'm Lady Gaga, but I'm on the edge of terror, not glory. Trust me, looking at these horrifying versions is not glorious in the slightest, and neither is making FNAF videos on the daily. Halfway through and at number 5, Nightmare Toy Bonnie. I thought that the Nightmare versions couldn't get any worse, yet here we are. I remember someone commenting on the alternate fan versions of Chica list saying that it was more like a fan alternate versions of Toy Chica list, but the toy animatronics are just another version of the original, so it wasn't a different list. It's the same thing, so don't pester me about this one this time around. Nightmare Toy Bonnie is a monstrosity that needs to be banished to the depths of hell and then sent by Satan to the empty because he doesn't want to deal with it. And I would understand why. Looking this up, I didn't think I would be as frightened as I was, but holy ever-loving crap, this actually kinda shocked me. The toy aesthetic just seems to make the Nightmare versions even worse. I don't know what it is. It's just like the toy animatronics as nightmares just makes the absolute scariest Nightmare versions, I swear. I don't know what it is. If you have any theories as to why this is a thing, let me know in the comments. And at 4, Ignited Bonnie. Remember when I said it would get more meta? Well, here we are, with the meta levels rising above that of Central City, because Ignited Bonnie comes from the joy of creation, a FNAF fan game where we play as Scott Cawthon in the real world. Yeah, you heard that right. In this game, you play as the creator of FNAF himself after he retires the series 2 years after the release of the first game. But the animatronics don't like that, and somehow break out of the game to attack Scott, his family, and Michael Afton. This game is also getting a new version as part of the Fazbear Fanverse initiative, and honestly, I'm excited to see what's coming, but I'm curious as to how they'll fit it into the story. Joy of Creation is seen as one of the scariest FNAF fan games, so it's obvious why it would get a new funded version. I feel like Scott also just liked the idea of being a playable character, because I know I sure as hell would. It would give my ego a much needed boost, so I get it, Scott. I get it. Getting close to the end, and in number 3, Draw Kill Bonnie. Draw Kill Bonnie was actually a version I was recommended on previous videos. Multiple comments suggested that I look up the Draw Kill animatronics, and honestly, I'm glad you told me, because goddamn this thing is menacing. Called Bonnie Bot by Draw Kill on DeviantArt, it's a disproportionate Bonnie robot that is actually made to look like metal, instead of being like kind of fuzzy with a metal interior. We all know how I feel about disproportionate things. They always end up making things more off-putting than normal. And the hands on this thing are just gigantic, which makes me think that it's just going to crush me and then use its arm like a hammer and just keep pounding on my head until I'm 6 feet under or just pulverized. These Draw Kill animatronics are damn terrifying, and I'm really thankful for your recommendations. So if you have any other animatronics or animatronic versions that you want me to check out for characters I haven't covered on these lists, be sure you let me know down below, because it will be really helpful when I end up making those videos, and I don't have to use the same 10 keywords over and over again, because Draw Kill is definitely in the reservoir now. We know that I just look up the same things just with different animatronics, let's be honest. Ultimately, in at number 2, Sinister Bonnie. Speaking of using the same 10 keywords over and over again, if you knew these lists, then you knew that Sinister Bonnie was bound to make an appearance. From the unfinished, unreleased, and cancelled fan game Sinister Turmoil, we have Sinister Bonnie, an animatronic best described as a repaired nightmare version. With teeth sharper than Eminem's lyrics and an overall demeanor more intimidating than Dwayne Johnson, the animatronic is some pure nightmare fuel, and it's clear to see why. Every time I see one of these sinister animatronics, I'm glad that this game didn't release. Not because it wouldn't have been good or because the game was just looked awful. I'm sure the game would have been amazing, but because I don't have to deal with these things. I don't have to interact with them anywhere other than still images where they can't actually hurt me. And that's what really matters to me in the long run. Avoiding being scared at all costs. I don't understand why people like feeling scared. Like, I feel like it's probably like a kink thing if you ask me. Cause you know, fear evolved to protect us, and being scared is a bad thing. But nevertheless, these things are so wrong, but so right. At least so right in the scare department, and wrong for my pants, because at this point all of my pants are brown and the laundry room smells atrocious, especially because it's hot outside. Oh yeah. Finally, in at number 1, Slasher Bonnie. Yet another recommendation from the comments, Slasher Bonnie will haunt my nightmares for weeks to come. As if I wasn't scared enough about playing the guitar, Slasher Bonnie turns that into an actual fear by making that thing into a giant axe. Thanks, PlayStation Jedi on DeviantArt. Thanks for causing plenty of restless nights. This damn guitar axe thing is so damn creepy, especially because there is literal blood dripping off the damn thing. I don't know what else to say. Like, I feel like the pictures say it all. If a picture says 1,000 words, then I just need 2 pictures for my script, and then that's the video. I'm done. Like, my scripts are usually around 2,000 words long, which is significantly more than most people, at least at work, I feel. But, like, because, like, I talk fast, which I'm sure you've noticed a lot of people have complained about it, but I mean, like, I can't change the way I talk. That's also why I usually don't have time for comments, because I only have so long to film a video, and that's all filled with information. As long as you keep Slasher Bonnie away from me, I think I'll be okay. Although the Slasher animatronics will also be making more appearances if there are more than the original 4 animatronics, because we've already covered the other ones. Because goddamn, did you see the Chica version? Like, it has a bib that says "Let's kill" instead of "Let's eat." Dear God, why would you do this? Firstly, based off of what we're expressly told in-game, it could actually be possible. All we really know is that Bonnie ended up going into Monty Golf around 4 AM, and then that was the last place he was seen. Quote from the duffel bag. Security report, 12:24 AM. Bonnie is seen leaving his green room in Rockstar Row, heading east towards the atrium. 2:40 AM. Bonnie enters the East Arcade. 4:12 AM. Bonnie enters Monty Golf. That's the last of a repaired Bonnie that we ended up seeing, since in another bag we learned, quote, "With Bonnie out of commission, we are making Monty the new bass player. Parts and service has already done the proper adjustments. This could be a good thing. Monty could be even more popular than Bonnie." Which, in combination to the fact that Bonnie was last seen in Monty Golf, suggests that Monty is the culprit behind Bonnie's destruction. Which is odd, in my opinion, because like we know Monty loves smashing things, so like that's not the weird part about this. My thought is, where was Monty chilling before he moved into Rockstar Row? Like, we don't see any real living quarters in Monty Golf, and the only other animatronics that we see outside of the core 4 is the daycare attendant, who has his own room above the ball pit. So, where could Monty have been staying if not in Rockstar Row? Anyway, if Monty is to blame for the destruction of Bonnie, we could see Bonnie come back in the DLC. But unfortunately, it wouldn't be really to get revenge on Monty, since we see that Monty does indeed face justice. At least, justice if he was guilty for the crimes. And if not, then it was just destruction. There is another theory, however, that could counter this point if it's true. The idea that Glamrock Bonnie's endo was used to create the new body that Afton inhabits in the true ending, Burn Trap. Now, we've covered this in another video, link to that is in the iCard, but in that video we came to the conclusion that the entire endo wasn't used, since the shoulders on Burn Trap aren't wide enough compared to the male Glamrock endos. And the fact that Afton's muscle fibers, or nerves, again, still not quite sure what they are still connected, would prove that it's the old suit. But there are sections where the fibers are blocked, like on the left foot and left arm. Both things that he was missing, or were more damaged at the time, while in his scrap trap form, seemingly suggesting that perhaps these specific parts came from Glamrock Bonnie instead of the whole endoskeleton. Maybe they were the only parts that they could use after Monty had his fun. Maybe they cut Monty off from destroying the rest of him, hence why he starts smashing his green room. We're not sure, and frankly the latter is just speculation, but it's still interesting. Originally, I was against the whole Glamrock Bonnie endoskeleton thing because, well, frankly, the body in the suit kind of disproved it for me. But I think I might have found a way to make it work. Like I said, looking at the model, I'm still not 100% sure. But if this was the Glamrock Bonnie endo, again, it would need to have broader shoulders, and actually it would need to be shorter. Unless they're like using the female endo for Bonnie, which wouldn't really make sense, so I don't think that they would, especially if they're gonna give Bonnie shoulder pads. But I mean, like, even if we scale them so they're the same height, the endos, when posed the same way, and I'm comparing to like an actual endo, not the Glamrock Bonnie fan art, they still don't line up. And I mean, there are similarities between the two, of course, but there aren't enough where I can even call this above 50%. There are also issues of, again, the muscles being woven throughout the body. If it was just the head, I would understand, since they could have just put the old head on a new endo body, but with the muscles throughout the rest of the endo, that's too intricate to have been placed there. Even if they were, they would be dangling. They would just be hanging out, unless they had been stuck there like with super glue. Because like they were deep in there, because you know he was shoved full of machine parts. So yeah, if Afton was going to transfer his head to a new endo, it wouldn't come with the rest of the body bits. So yeah, I'm gonna go with they added the arm and the leg on after the fact. But what would that mean for Glamrock Bonnie? Well, it would mean that if decommissioning Bonnie was a part of Vanny's plan to resurrect Afton, there would really be no Bonnie available that you could bring back, since he would really just be decommissioned. And while the other animatronics do come back, losing a leg and an arm is worse than your legs, your eyes, or just being smashed, since he wouldn't really be able to hop around on one leg despite being a bunny, and since he only had one arm, he wouldn't really be able to crawl like Monty does. So, I mean, I suppose the DLC could instead just be replacing Monty with Glamrock Bonnie, but that's achievable with mods, so there isn't really a point to making that a paid DLC since we would all just opt into modding the game for that experience. Plus, certainly the model they use for Bonnie wouldn't end up being the one added to the mod instead of the current one, so at this point we'd need a solid DLC to actually make it worth it. With that being said, however, Bonnie being decommissioned might actually impact his presence in the game, but not to the story, since the DLC could be, like I've suggested before in other videos, a series of missions that involve us investigating his disappearance, possibly as a favor to Freddy, since he really seemed to miss Bonnie. Like, he was pretty sad when he was saying that there's no Bunny in this Pizzaplex, not anymore. That was my Freddy impression. Maybe it would even be because Freddy was already investigating it or something like that, saying that he knows Monty's been giving him side-eye and wanted to know if that Monty would be coming after Freddy next, since after all, Monty is stronger than Freddy, at least until we break Monty's brains in with a giant bucket filled with balls, which is a total hazard, by the way. I mean, like, come on. The giant bucket that we used to crush Monty is such a issue for health and safety for both employees and for customers. Because, like, if a 6-year-old kid with a 4-year-old's body can use it to destroy an animatronic, how safe is it going to be for literally anyone else? Like, what's the point of the bucket anyway? Like, is it supposed to contain water? Because, like, when it falls on Monty, it breaks the catwalk that we're on. And honestly, water, especially in that quantity, is going to be a lot heavier than some ball pit balls filled with air. Seriously, who the living hell thought that this was going to be a good idea? Or like, how have they not gotten fined for it yet? Or like, how have they not fixed it if they have gotten fined? Yeah, there are guardrails on the catwalk, but that doesn't matter if there's a giant bucket that can destroy the catwalk that you're standing on and then cause you to fall to your death. Especially when falling that distance just like severed Monty's legs from his torso. Anyway, sorry, rant aside, maybe once Freddy has Monty's hands, we're able to investigate the rest of what happened to Bonnie. Maybe we get into Monty's green room and then kind of like suss out what went wrong. And no, that was not an Among Us joke, despite me constantly making Among Us jokes about this game because Gregory is sus, he vented. But like, maybe in the end, we would find Bonnie's casing with a missing arm and a missing leg, and then we would know for certain that I'm right. Now, do I think that this is going to happen? Really? I'm not sure. Like, a lot of people seemingly want to see Bonnie in this game, so much so that they are replacing Monty using mods, but also the idea for the Choose Your Guardian DLC is also very popular, and perhaps even more popular than the others. However, since we know DLCs to be canon add-ons, I'm guessing that a Bonnie investigation would be more likely than switching up the robot who protects us, since honestly, the whole Bonnie thing has less lore implications in the long run. Having someone other than Freddy protect us just seems like it would be too messy, especially with the fact that we would have to steal the other bits from the animatronics, and if we pick Roxy, then we have her eyes the entire game, which is kind of cheating. But like, you know, you get it? You do understand what I mean here? Like, I like the idea, but it's probably just gonna have to be a mod instead of actual canon DLC, okay? I hate to say it, even though I say it every time I talk about this mod. And at 10, Springtrap. It seems weird to me that Springtrap isn't Fred Trap. Like, why would William use a Spring Bonnie suit instead of a Spring Freddy, the mascot of the company? Maybe Bonnie is a more popular animatronic despite not being front and center, or maybe it's because using Golden Freddy would bring too much attention because he is the mascot of the company. Maybe both. I don't know. But in-universe reasons aside, I think I know why this is the case in our world. It's common knowledge by now that Scott Cawthon, while developing FNAF 1, was given nightmares after being jump-scared by Bonnie during the playtest of the first game. This didn't happen with any other animatronic, so Scott ended up finding Bonnie to be the scariest. Maybe that's why Apton chose it, because Scott wanted the last game of the series to be scarier. And before you get mad, in an interview, Scott Cawthon said that FNAF 3 was planned to be the end of the series, so Springtrap would have been burnt, and that's why the puppet was there on some rare screens. However, the community was disappointed with the Springtrap jump scare, and that's why he made FNAF 4, and then 5, 6, 7, and 8. Since Scott thought Bonnie was the scariest though, it only makes sense for the killer to use the suit in the intended final game. But I can't be sure because I've never talked to Scott. Like, Scott, hit me up though. Let's chat. And at 9, Bonnie run, run, run. Bonnie run, 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 faster than my Foxy. Oh god. It's actually interesting though, since in the original FNAF 1 trailer, we never see Foxy or Pirate's Cove for that matter, and the only running animatronic is Bonnie. I find this odd because, well, why wasn't Foxy there? Myself and others think that perhaps it was because he wasn't added. You see, as you playtest the game, you find balancing issues and bugs that you need to fix, and as of this trailer, perhaps the game was too difficult with a giant bunny that was always sprinting at you, or perhaps it was too frequent or it was causing issues. So in an effort to balance the game or make it scarier, Scott added Foxy and Pirate's Cove to make Bonnie less overpowered. I mean, other than Bonnie, only Foxy comes down that hall if you let him. It was also probably a way to fix the just never opening the camera strategy that Foxy does end up preventing, and in Ultimate Custom Night, the two animatronics that you can see in Pirate's Cove are Bonnie and Foxy. Interesting. Also guys, if you're enjoying the video, be sure you hit like and subscribe for more videos like this because, you know, the algorithm hates everyone and it lets us know what you want to see more of. And at 8, Easter Bonnie. The Easter Bonnie animatronic from FNAF AR is something that we never really understood. Like, why did Fazbear Entertainment create an Easter version of Bonnie? Like, I get that it's a riff on the Easter Bunny, but do they use this when the place opens around Easter? Because, like, if not, it just seems like a waste. I have an idea though. What if they're using it to try to take over holidays? Think about it. I know it sounds outlandish, but I mean, like, Fine Bros tried to trademark the word react, so. They also have multiple holidays represented with special animatronics. Easter Bonnie and Chocolate Bonnie, Liberty Chica and Firework Freddy, Katrina Toy Chica, Heartsick Baby and Blackheart Bonnie, Shamrock Freddy. There's even an unused Easter Chica, for crying out loud. That's 4 separate holidays that Fazbear animatronics have no business in, with animatronics representing them. Like, why? Like, I feel, personally, like Fazbear Entertainment is the FNAF universe's Disney. Like, they want to literally own everything, and this includes the holidays. They want $1 every time someone wears green on St. Patty's Day. Every time someone ends up in a dumpster drunk on St. Patty's, they want a nickel. I'm not speaking from experience. Every time a kid finds an Easter egg, it has to have a token for Freddy Fazbear's inside. That's what this company wants. A total, absolute monopoly. And you know what? They're close. They really are. And at 7, Toy Bonnie. The FNAF 2 toy animatronics are pretty interesting. They're meant to be able to access criminal databases to detect predators and killers so that another missing children's incident doesn't happen. However, they attack us even though we haven't done anything wrong, at least to our knowledge. But remember, these animatronics are meant to protect kids, not adults. And as of night 7 in FNAF 2, we play as someone who looks exactly like the one who caused the missing children's incident. But I don't think that's what's happening here. I think these animatronics were intentionally flawed so that they would get scrapped. And look, that's exactly what happens. Why do I think this? Well, who made them? William Afton. We know this because he is the suit technician we hear about in FNAF 3, and we see him helping someone into a Golden Freddy suit in FNAF 4's 8-bit minigames. So William was the one who made these animatronics, and he's also the one who caused the missing children's incident. So if these characters were meant to detect him, wouldn't he want them to just attack every adult so that they would end up being deemed defective, and then he would have another killing ground again? I mean, like, it makes sense to me. He could have just not programmed himself in, but honestly, that would probably be even more work, so he might as well make them horrible. Sounds easier. And at 6, similar to Freddy. Last time I talked about how some fans think that Bonnie's face was remade using Freddy's as a template, hence why they look slightly similar. However, this time I want to discuss how not only their faces look similar, but how the rest of them does as well. Looking at the animatronics, each have a bow tie and no buttons, whereas no other animatronic in the first game has a bow tie or tie of any kind for that matter, unlike yours truly. They also have a similar body type, with their original versions basically being identical. And we know that Bonnie is meant to be blue, however this original version looks to be more purple than blue, which did confuse some people at the beginning. But if Bonnie was just a Freddy animatronic with different ears, that would explain the color difference between the original and the toy version. From what I understand about colors and how subtractive colors work, subtractive being when you subtract light from colors when adding them instead of adding it like you do on a computer, blue over Freddy's brown would result in the purplish color we see original Bonnie have. And I mean, like, if they already had another Freddy animatronic, it would be cheaper just to recolor it. So is Bonnie more than a Freddy face clone? And are they more alike than we first thought? Probably. I mean, it would save a lot of money. Halfway through in at number 5, leader. Sure, the place is called Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, but is Freddy the actual leader of the group? Sure, he's the one who's front and center and singing all the kids' favorite tunes, but he hardly does anything in the game. And he was originally going to do even less, only sticking around on the stage and scaring you if you ran out of power. And he was also hardly in the trailer for the first game. The trailer really featured Bonnie more, and honestly so do the games. Bonnie's the first animatronic to typically make a move towards you on each night. And Bonnie has quite a few versions as well, with 22 different versions in his own right, including the FNAF AR Springtrap and Plushtrap skins. And Bonnie is the other animatronic that got introduced with a shadow version in FNAF 2. So is this giant bunny more than meets the eye? Is this like a Puppet Master scenario where Bonnie is manipulating Freddy to get what he wants? I mean, like, the main killer does use a Bonnie suit after all. In at 4, Withered Bonnie. We assume that the withered animatronics are just decommissioned versions of the original 5 animatronics that were then improved for the opening of the FNAF 1 location. However, if that was the case, wouldn't they have found bodies inside those animatronics? In addition to that, look at FNAF 1 Bonnie in comparison to Withered Bonnie. Besides the missing face, do you notice anything different? That's right. Buttons. Withered Bonnie has 2 buttons on his chest, whereas FNAF 1 Bonnie doesn't. So how would these be the same animatronic? I guess you could say that they removed the buttons, but the bow tie also just seems off. And as we can tell from the FNAF VR parts and service minigames, the bow tie is a part of the animatronic, not like an actual bow tie that can be easily changed. Sure, this one is withered, but withered obviously in this context means partially destroyed. So why would buttons stick around only to later be removed? If they're on there after that, they're on there good. It just doesn't make sense to me. Also, the whole they would have found bodies in there, unless Afton was the one attending to them, but I mean, there would have at least been someone else helping. It's not like he would have done it all by himself. Unless maybe he did, I don't know. Getting close to the end in at number 3, Rockstar Bonnie. Now what's really confusing to me is Rockstar Bonnie. Introduced in FNAF 6, Rockstar Bonnie was in essence just an excuse to make more versions of animatronics for merch reasons. At least I feel that way. But Rockstar Bonnie looks like more than that, since it has a similar style to the FNAF 1 and Withered Bonnies combined, along with 2 extra toes. But what does this mean? Well, some assume that this meant it was the real repaired version of Withered Bonnie, since it was in the FNAF 6 location, and that meant that it would have to burn, because, you know, that whole thing was meant to just burn off everything having to do with Afton's killing spree, and Withered Bonnie was most likely the one that had the body in it, so having a kid inside would actually be better in this scenario rather than not, which is weird. Others thought that it was just a new animatronic entirely, but I'm here to set the record straight. Rockstar Bonnie is actually a revamped version of the original Bonnie, whatever version that may be, assumingly the version we see in FNAF 1. According to the at time of filming still currently canon fast facts, because they might be deemed uncanon later. An unused text file from FNAF AR reads, Rockstar Bonnie was developed from the original Bonnie for use in Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria franchise operations, meaning that Rockstar Bonnie is just the original Bonnie with extra steps. So there you go, a theory combined with fact. Perfect unionization. Penultimately in at number 2, Deep Connection. Now last time I mentioned how Jeremy is the most used name in FNAF history, with multiple different characters having the name over various games. But what if I told you that they may be closer than we thought? Well, the first Jeremy is the one who gets killed by Afton and shoved inside the Bonnie suit. The next Jeremy gets his frontal lobe bitten by an animatronic in FNAF 2 and promoted to day shift. But the third Jeremy is where things get freaky. The third Jeremy was a playtester for FNAF VR, and was the tester before Tape Girl took over. Why did she take over though? Because Jeremy kicked the bucket thanks to being driven mad by Glitch Trap. Okay, so what? Really? I mean, like, why are you saying so what? This guy cut his face off with an office paper cutter, for God's sakes. He literally cut his face off thanks to being driven mad by Glitch Trap, a version of Bonnie, might I add. However, that's not where this connection gets freaky. Who else gets their face removed? Withered Bonnie. Withered Bonnie's whole thing is that he's missing his face. There is no way that is a coincidence, especially when Withered Bonnie shows up in the final pizza party minigame room. Too many Jeremys and too many connections to Bonnie for that to be unintentional. There has to be something there. I hope. Finally, in at number 1, Ship Trap. It's always been a mystery to me why FNAF AR even exists. Not from like a merchandising perspective or anything in our world, but because they're using this surface to try to repair their reputation in their world, but these animatronics are hurting people. Like what the hell? Why? They know about it too. We learned that from the emails. But what irks me the most is that they're shipping out versions of Springtrap. Why? What? Why on earth are you shipping out versions of your infamous killer? We know that people know what he did, as evidenced by the man in room 1280, so why are you doing this willingly? Some people have said it's because they didn't know, they just thought that he was a version of Spring Bonnie, but he's literally called Springtrap in the menu. If they didn't think he was Springtrap, they would have called him Spring Bonnie. The name Springtrap implies that someone was trapped by the spring locks. It makes me so angry. I don't get it. For God's sakes, like, do they want a bad reputation? Ah!